Nick Reiner is sitting alone in a Los Angeles jail cell, accused of killing both of his parents. And according to people familiar with his condition, he does not truly understand why he is there. This is not just another celebrity crime story that flashes across headlines and fades away. This is a slow-burning, deeply unsettling tragedy that has shaken Hollywood to its core, baffled legal experts, devastated fans, and reopened painful conversations about mental illness, personal responsibility, and what happens when warning signs are overlooked or misunderstood. Nick Reiner is 32 years old. He was born into a world most people only ever see from the outside. He grew up surrounded by privilege, creativity, influence, and access. His father, Rob Reiner, wasn't just famous, he was admired, respected, and considered one of the most important filmmakers of his generation. His work shaped American pop culture for decades, touching themes of love, justice, friendship, and morality. His mother, Michelle Singer Reiner, was a producer and photographer, deeply involved in creative work and known for being fiercely devoted to her family. From the outside, the Reiner family appeared successful, stable, and tightly bonded. They lived in one of the most affluent neighborhoods in Los Angeles. They moved comfortably through Hollywood circles. There was money, opportunity, and status. But behind that polished exterior, there was a long, quiet struggle unfolding, largely hidden from public view, one marked by mental illness, instability, and mounting concern. For years, those close to the family say Nick battled serious psychological issues. He reportedly struggled with a severe mental health disorder that affected how he perceived reality, how he interpreted the actions of others, and how he processed stress. There were periods when he appeared stable and functional, and other periods when he reportedly withdrew, became paranoid, or lost his footing emotionally. Like many families dealing with severe mental illness, the Reiners were navigating something complex, exhausting, and deeply painful. Then came December 14, 2025, the day everything collapsed. That morning, police were called to the Reiner family home in Brentwood, one of the most exclusive and expensive neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Concern had been growing after friends, colleagues, and associates were unable to reach Rob or Michelle. Missed calls turned into worry. Worry turned into alarm. When officers arrived and entered the home, what they found would permanently alter the legacy of one of Hollywood's most recognizable families. Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner were found dead inside their home. Both had suffered multiple stab wounds. The violence was described as severe and deeply personal. This was not a random act. It was not a break-in gone wrong. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence that a stranger had entered the house. The scene suggested something far more intimate and far more disturbing. Almost immediately, attention turned inward. The focus shifted to the one person known to be living with them at the time, their son, Nick Reiner. Within hours, Nick was taken into custody. As news broke, shockwaves rippled through Hollywood and beyond. Social media exploded with disbelief, grief, and confusion. Headlines around the world struggled to make sense of what had happened. The son of a beloved filmmaker was now accused of brutally murdering both of his parents. For many, it felt unreal. Nick Reiner was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, one of the most serious charges possible under California law. Prosecutors signaled from the outset that they were treating this as an especially grave case. Nick was denied bail, meaning he would remain behind bars as the legal process unfolded. He was transferred to the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in downtown Los Angeles, a massive jail complex that houses some of the county's most high-profile and most vulnerable inmates. From the very beginning, something about this case felt different. When Nick appeared in court for the first time, observers noticed his demeanor immediately. He did not appear outwardly emotional. There were no visible outbursts, no obvious panic, no tears. But there was also no clear comprehension. He stood quietly, his expression distant, almost vacant as the judge outlined charges that could result in life in prison. Those who watched closely said he didn't look like someone coldly calculating his future. He looked like someone detached from it. Then came another unexpected twist. Shortly after that initial appearance, Nick's defense attorney abruptly withdrew from the case. The decision was sudden and unexplained, instantly raising questions. High-profile cases rarely see attorneys step away without warning. Before leaving, however, the attorney made a statement that sent shockwaves through the courtroom and the media. He said Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. That single sentence ignited widespread speculation. Was the defense preparing to argue that Nick was legally insane at the time of the killings? Was there some alternative explanation for what happened inside that house? Or was this about Nick's mental state now, his ability to even understand what he was being accused of? As days passed and more information emerged, the picture grew increasingly disturbing. People close to Nick say his mental illness had been worsening in the months leading up to the killings. He reportedly carried a diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder, a severe psychiatric condition that blends symptoms of schizophrenia with mood disorders. This can include hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, disorganized thinking, and extreme emotional swings. Managing such a condition requires careful treatment, consistent medication, and close monitoring. In Nick's case, that balance appears to have been fragile. Sources say he had a history of medication adjustments, missed treatments, and periods of decline. In the weeks before his parents were killed, his psychiatric medication was reportedly changed. Those familiar with his condition believe this change may have triggered a rapid and dangerous deterioration in his mental state. He allegedly became increasingly paranoid, withdrawn, and disconnected from reality, interpreting everyday events through a distorted and frightening lens. After his arrest, these issues did not fade, they intensified. Inside jail, Nick was placed in a high-observation mental health unit. For long stretches, he was kept in solitary confinement, not as punishment, but because officials believed it was necessary for his safety and the safety of others. His cell was small and constantly monitored. His movements were limited. His human contact was minimal. At one point, jail officials placed Nick on suicide watch, a serious measure reserved for inmates deemed at risk of harming themselves. While he was later removed from suicide watch, the decision underscored just how unstable his condition was considered to be. He continues to receive frequent psychiatric evaluations as doctors attempt to assess his mental state. And this is where the case becomes truly chilling. According to individuals who have interacted with Nick since his incarceration, he does not fully understand why he's in jail. He reportedly acknowledges that his parents are dead. In some moments, he even seems to understand that he played a role in their deaths. But critically, he does not connect those facts to his imprisonment in a rational way. Instead, he reportedly believes he is being held as part of a conspiracy. In his mind, the jail is not a response to a crime, but a system designed to control or punish him for reasons he cannot clearly articulate. He questions the motives of law enforcement. He distrusts medical staff. He is suspicious of attorneys. He reportedly believes he is being watched, manipulated, or targeted, rather than processed through a legal system responding to violence. This mental disconnect is not just tragic, it is legally significant. Under the law, a defendant must be mentally competent to stand trial. That means they must understand the charges against them and be able to assist their attorney in preparing a defense. If a person cannot grasp why they are in custody or cannot rationally participate in their own case, the trial cannot move forward. Legal experts believe the court may be soon forced to confront this issue head-on. If doctors determine that Nick is not competent, he could be transferred from jail to a state psychiatric facility for treatment. His criminal case would be paused, potentially indefinitely, until and unless his mental state improves. That process could take months, it could take years, or it might never reach a point where trial becomes possible. Meanwhile, prosecutors continue to build their case. While many details remain sealed or undisclosed, authorities are believed to have forensic evidence from the crime scene, timelines placing Nick at the home, and behavioral observations supporting their theory. The lack of forced entry, the personal nature of the wounds, and the setting all suggest an intimate and deliberate act of violence. public reaction has been intense, emotional, and deeply divided. Many people are grieving Rob and Michelle Reiner not just as public figures, but as human beings whose lives ended in an unimaginably brutal way. Fans have revisited Rob Reiner's films, sharing scenes, interviews, and quotes that now feel haunting in retrospect. There's a collective sense of mourning, not just for a filmmaker, but for a family destroyed from within. Others focus on Nick, asking how this could have happened and whether it could have been prevented. Mental health advocates argue that this case exposes gaps in how society treats people with severe mental illness, especially when they come from families with resources, yet still struggle to maintain stability. Some people are angry, demanding accountability above all else. Others are heartbroken, seeing nothing but loss on every side. Many are simply confused, unable to reconcile the facts with any sense of closure or justice. What makes this case so difficult is that there is no clean ending. If Nick is found competent and convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. If he is found incompetent, he could be confined to psychiatric institutions indefinitely. Neither outcome restores what was lost. Neither brings peace. The rest of the Reiner family has remained largely silent. There have been no interviews, no detailed public statements, no attempts to control the narrative. Those close to them say they are grieving privately, overwhelmed by both unimaginable loss and public scrutiny. As the weeks pass, Nick remains in custody, isolated, evaluated, and waiting for doctors to decide his mental fate, waiting for the court to determine whether justice can even proceed, waiting in a cell, reportedly unable to fully understand how his life unraveled so completely. This case is not just about a crime. It is about the fragile line between illness and responsibility. It is about the limits of the legal system when faced with profound mental instability. And it is about a family whose name once symbolized Hollywood's success and now represents one of its darkest tragedies. As more developments unfold, this story will continue to raise uncomfortable questions. And while the world waits for answers, Nick Reiner remains behind bars, trapped in a reality that may not fully align with the one beyond those walls. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.